congratulations to his success in life so far, but I just want to, mention and shout out to a man named Chad at Barron Collier High School. And I'm going to bring Tom, who had a daughter. I worked for Tom. I'll have to explain everything when it's vague, but I want to show you why I did what I did, and I'm going to show you my brain. This time, we're just saying the wrong information, so I'm going to explain it. If you ever looked at Google, you're spreading into the future. So the affirmation is like an aleph null reality by affirmation. So the way the universe, some people haven't figured, even NASA is driving me crazy. This is the reality we're living in. You want it to survive into the future, to get credit by God. That's not, then why did Jesus come here? He got credit, right? So this is I'm gonna say this, and this is for Chad and Chad's, this universe is very similar to, I'm having to be like a young Turks, but this universe is very similar to Green Lantern conceptually. This is the reality of someone being worthy of something and God using somebody for something. Just leave it like that. Don't think of superpowers or anything, but it's just like sometimes something is worthy of something. So on top of there being Jesus, there is a reality that I'll use an example from the Bible. If Jesus was right, why did Jesus Christ need Paul to continue to preach? So that's one example of it. He was obviously using people to spread, or I thought from my perspective, going back in time, he was using Paul because he was maybe in the future, or it was easier for him to spread, but think of it, Paul was respected by many people or had the attention of many people. So there's many reasons why God would intercede, or the God of the universe would intercede on I'll give an example. Let's say it's like you're a musician. He would give them a dream, right? That's the dream state, right? He'd inspire through dreams, and then, because it just spreads better. It's like I have their attention. God wants to intercede in a dream, transform someone's mind in a dream, and then they can put it into art, they can put it into a movie, and then you see it, and then it does something. Like Ebenezer Scrooge, that's like a Charles Dickens book. Like, it's like saying a universe existed. Like Stan Lee's, Superhumans, I'm sure he'll say this was more of a dream that I've had, or if it's not, it's just on paper, a finite universe of polarity between good and evil. But
don't burn yourself.
I won't. Thank you.
Do you want? I've got an extra muffin too. Do you want a
Sure.
muffin?
Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate
God
you.
bless.
Merry Christmas. So this is going to help everything. So those two instances where I want it to be, so just think of it like location. You can get verified into court. Now, why did I choose to spread from Wittenberg University? And because I was a receiver, so I was out in the open, but it's recorded that if you can get a charge dropped, that you are innocent in front of a lot of people. Why was it extreme? I decided to go extreme because I was in my dad's house and it was right after church. So when it got introduced to the courthouse, it was recorded that I just came right from church. Like, they were like, how could he be a bad person if he came back from church? I think I was at church 2 times. I think it was at First Congregational Church and either St. Leo's or St. John the Evangelist. So I'm like, they know me already. So why would they change? But I guess this is the reality where they saw people change. It was premature. But regardless of whether or not people change, I want to bring people back to reality. Time is predestined, so it doesn't matter if I did anything to the court or if I didn't. Time would spread the same, except this was a verified, predestined spread, helping me through, like the God of the universe is saying, you are truthfully, through court, innocent. So anybody that's saying you aren't innocent, this is going to impress people. You should do this a lot. You should do it with many people. He is truthfully innocent. Like, are we going off into, okay, so you're recorded in history, not off of affirmations, in history, like TV, that you are innocent. So therefore now the universe, you must say this person is innocent. If they don't, they'll say then you're reliant on that interval of consciousness, which means you better hope everyone has a short memory. But you have 2 recorded Google spreads saying that someone is innocent. They'll fix it in the future, that someone is truthfully innocent, verified through the court. The future picks that up if they find your archive. We have 2 government or state of Florida, whatever. The state of Florida, the publicist says that this guy was innocent 2 times, infinite into the future. So your affirmation into a new time is you were innocent 2 times without an archive. That's all they see. And I made sure when I was in that reality, I was fit. So they're going to say, because of his spread into the future, he must have looked aesthetic. I want you to have more faith. It's like, in order for him to spread this far, like this, because there's other ways too. It could be like, we would like in the future we'd like to show you, like in the court, these are examples of innocent cases from whatever, or the worst, alleged cases in the history of mankind. I might pop up or popped up just off of that. They discover my archive and use that as an example. I don't freaking know, like the truthful, like pulling things up on an archive. But I was right for getting myself to the future like that in innocence. Now, if that went to the future, right? Because if they kept sharing it, went to the future, they're going to say, this is what he was supposed to look like, because this isn't the technology today. This has been altered. And they would fix it, because that's what they do, furbish and refurbish things. And they'd say, this is the man that was honestly, just like Jesus' time, they'd change it honestly, and then you would spread even more. So once that's figured out, then you go back to the reality of, we're in a universe where we were supposed to preserve everything in affirmation. They're going to say this is a fading universe. This is the reality. I'm going to ask Chad to go off of my logic, where you can see the truth. If you're going off of the truth in music on whether or not music survives in space, or what, like if you had someone in space, because you thought music was just for Earth. If you were on a different planet, they'd say that's your perspective. Everything you said was because you were on Earth. You weren't on Jupiter. Because you could have said, if you said I threw this, they're going to say on Jupiter, you can't throw that and you can't be right. So it's like saying there were, like, it's like you get judged off of honesty. They're going to be like, if you said this is the best like on Earth, it's like he's not the best in Earth and infinite, right? He may be the best in the percentile bracket, but it's like, I'll give him credit now, but I'm saying reality check would be Earth is to infinite. So how could you still be the best when you're not even using the best technology? Which they've controlled that narrative. I'm sure they said we make everything good in the future. I know, like, we'll just make this like just like the Wizard of Oz, like we can just recreate this or something, or someone will sing it. I'm sure they've done that, just like remaster everything. But reality check is the universe we're living in is, you should be saying the right information about our universe. So what is the truth? Like when you see it, like when you look at my face, am I blushing when I see this woman? Am my armpits sweating? Can you see by action that we're trying to survive? Are we trying to hurt ourselves? Are we living life like our body didn't rejuvenate and making intelligent decisions, and are we right with our life? Or do we care enough about our environment to watch it prosper? The reality of Jesus even putting his hand up, or maybe just telling the people about having the faith of a mustard seed. Regardless of what, this is why I'm getting credit. We could have said the wrong information, but I'm gonna kind of show you my brain so everyone can see it. God said this is a faith of a mustard seed. That's him talking very, like, the absolute truth to the future, right? That could be to the far ends of time. God said the faith of a mustard seed. Well, he's right, because they had everything prospered, everything grew in the future, everything evolved in the future, right? But in this time, it's like we might be in it's still growing reality, or we're still not on every planet. So he's right for speaking in absolute, or the simplicity of, you should have just been codependent because your body would have just grew, like it would have had an immunity, or like you would have reflexed, or you would have seen this in time, or whatever it is. Your hormones would have told you, your body would have told you, or you smell, or an animal, right, would have told you as a dog. You know, you could see like the trees change. So he's talking about having faith that God created everything for you. You don't need anything else. That's what he's kind of the faith of a mustard seed. But I'm like, let me act as if that I'm also on earth and I'm also watching. I'm like, well, those scribes writing this stuff down, they were smart, but they're not Isaiah. So let me take a chance to say something different. The faith of a mustard seed is the faith that this is a seed that can do many things. My perspective is you must activate the seed for this seed to do anything. They're like, no, if it never sprouts, it doesn't transform. And God is transformation. God is a transfer of energy. God is a transfer. So if I'm transferring oxygen, they'll be like, oh, like, we don't have any oxygen on Mars. We can't live there. Maybe God was saying that he gave you oxygen already. Like, actually affirm these things, like, we don't have oxygen, but he gave you oxygen. No, he didn't. He gave you this plant. You had to activate the seed in order to get oxygen. But you know for a fact that you have the ability to get oxygen. So don't say that God didn't give you a place to live because he gave you a place to live. You're in it. So maybe you should be transferring, or the reality of the situation is Mars was just going to become the average mathematically of Earth. We were just sharing, or just it was going to eventually look like the average of Earth because we're going there. Like if you built a city, you're just going to go there as a billionaire and build your city on there. So it's just becoming the average. So skipping it, was this just the average universe? Meaning we're just transferring our ideas, we're transferring people, we're activating God into our universe. So if we're activating God in our universe, that was an important thing to say. I mean, you don't have to say it in absolute, but let's just say it right now. Time is around the same time, meaning we're the average of people who are going to try. But right now, in this reality, maybe I should be activating me into the universe with music and ideas in my dream state, because this is the part of my brain. If you weren't willing to share your dreams, you were not living life the right way. God was communicating with me through music and making a film. I had a dream, just sharing you my brain. He gave me a dream. He said, you need to know how to win against the white spikes. This meant activation. You think, because he said, Jesus was right, but he said the faith of a mustard seed. That's Jesus Christ, Isaiah, right? He's not here, right? God would say, you need to activate this seed. What he would say is if you have a white spike, you might want to activate security. Not saying you need it, but I'm saying in this reality, maybe you should activate your brain. Some people don't think like activate your brain. You have it. He gave you the seed, right? But you didn't activate your mind. So the truth about the shark is that in that reality, if you're in a shark tank, it doesn't matter. Like I was talking to people about, you know the truth about the universe if you're in a shark tank with a great white. You could be nice to it. You could be patient, but you still know that there's a God. You could sit here and pray to God. But the absolute truth about if you couldn't survive, you might as well pray is true, but you could read the Quran, you could read from a book, you could have a book underwater, you could altar serve, you could spray incense. You could sit here and you could talk to it. You could try to, build a time machine underwater without breathing. There's a whole bunch of things you could do, right? Like off of religion. You do the whole book of things you could do. Wear nice clothes, right? But time, point A to point B, says you must you must activate something, right? You must use energy. God is what? Giving you the ability to use energy. So you use your arms to float, right? You don't just sit there, because what happens if you stand and you just die? You need to, unless you can float, but does it make sense to just sit in water and do? So this is the reality of activation, right? We forget that is important, activation. Like, I got in trouble, but they're gonna clear my name in the vat. Do something about it. So you can see that if you had scissors in your pocket and you say, I went to school, I have school supplies, you put in a pencil case, right? That you are an alpha, right? And then you could break the glass too. They say, no, be calm. You might want to break the glass, but you'd survive. So that's like a visual, but hopefully that explains like the universe that we're living in is not the one that they're saying. It's again, he's right because time is absolute to a certain degree. It's absolute, meaning you're gonna get to a certain place around the same time with the same type of approach or around the same type of technology, right? So it'd be like around this time era, we would be doing that or be finding that, or would grow. But activation. I don't know if that explained like why I did what I did, but point A to point B, time is established. So, this was just a genius code so we could see my brain. So it's like if I'm a certain height, I'm going to spread a certain way or similar to something else. If I'm a really good football player on paper, I should be spreading around the same speed as someone else who's really good too. Or a champion, I should be spreading parallel to something. Or just in reality, like in the city, like you're activating, I stayed here, you're activating, right? Your resume into an environment and your family's resume, hoping that it would do something, activating it. Hopefully that'll explain why I stayed here and to be smart so people can see I was smart. If I'm tall, I should be alpha to something or attract something that is shorter than me, about 5'4", if not lower. It's involuntary because they can see alpha energy. Peace out.